What's up, guys? I'm Nick Whalen from RotoWire, talking fantasy basketball rookies early in the season. Hasn't been great so far. We knew what we were signing up for with this 2024 rookie class, but we'll talk about some players to keep an eye on, some players who played well so far, others who are essentially on the fringes of the rotation, everything you need to know about the rookie class now that we have at least a little bit of a sample early in the NBA season. Overall, so far, the rookie class has lived down to expectations. Dalton Knecht just became the first rookie to hit 15 points in any game this week. Zaccharie Risacher did the same thing for the Hawks later that same night. Those are the only two rookies that have even hit 15 points in a game a week and a half into the NBA season. Really, only a handful of rookies are even coming close to touching 20 minutes a night. Obviously, that's a concern when it comes to fantasy, and some of that has been injury related. You think somebody like Cody Williams in Utah after the Taylor Hendricks injury, Risacher himself in Atlanta, that team is banged up. Frankly, I'm not sure there's a single rookie I'd be happy starting right now in a 10 or a 12 team league. That includes Zach Edey in Memphis, who's off to a really slow start, struggling to stay on the court. Some of that's been foul trouble. Some of it's been matchup issues, but either way, he's off to a disastrous start to the year. But if we're looking high level, if you were someone who was down on this class coming in, which pretty much everybody was, and rightfully so, you've been proven correct, at least through the first week or two of the season. Rookie of the year is going to be very interesting. I'll say that. It already feels like it's going to be a redux of the Malcolm Brogdon situation back in 2016. I do want to highlight a handful of rookies, some good, some bad. And I want to start with Bub Carrington in Washington. Carrington actually leads all rookies in scoring as I record this video in late October. He's the only rookie averaging double digits right now at 10.5 points per game. He's playing 25 plus minutes a night for this bad Wizards team. He's actually started 3 of the Wizards' first 4 games. Now, Carrington hasn't done much on the defensive end. He's not giving you blocks or steals, but he's been a solid points, rebounds, assist guy. The three-point shot, which was very shaky at the college level at Pittsburgh, it's actually looked pretty decent so far in the NBA. He's not necessarily someone who should be rostered in shallower leagues, but in deeper formats, 14, 16 teams, I think he should at least be on your roster. Maybe he's not starting, but on the roster. I want to see where this goes. He's really on the short list of rookies who seem to be locked into a viable role just from a minutes perspective. Carrington's teammate, Alex Sarr, with the Wizards, I want to talk about him as well. After Zach Edey, Sarr was often the second rookie off the board in most of my drafts, at least, and he's off to a very slow start offensively. We knew there'd be some bumps early in the season, really struggling from the field, averaging just 8 points per game, but he is giving you rebounds. He had multiple blocks in each of the Wizards' first 4 games. He's also taking over 5 threes per game. Not exactly cashing those in at a high rate, but you like to see the confidence there. In category leagues, the efficiency, it's killing you so far. There's no way around it. It'll get better, but Sarr is unlikely to be a plus contributor in field goal percentage, especially as a big man. But if you're chasing blocks, if you need some rebounds, if that's what you're looking for, that's what we've seen out of Sarr so far. And he's giving you decent steals production as well. I have no idea how dependable that's going to be. As you can tell, we're kind of scratching and clawing for anything here with these rookies. The minutes have been sitting in the low to mid 20s. We'll see how that progresses, but he has been starting at center for the Wizards. They're bringing Jonas Valanciunas off the bench. You never know with Washington. That lineup is liable to change on any given night, but both Carrington and Sarr at least playing enough minutes to maintain some level of relevancy. Let's talk about the number 1 overall pick, Zaccharie Risacher with the Atlanta Hawks. Was playing fairly limited minutes off the bench to begin the season, but Atlanta's been already hit with some key injuries early on. DeAndre Hunter, Dyson Daniels, they both missed time. Bogdan Bogdanovic is going to end up missing at least a month going forward. So we've seen some increased opportunity in Atlanta for Risacher. He started 3 games thus far, put up 17, 6, and 2 with a steal and 2 blocks against the Wizards. Took 15 shots in that game, banged home a couple of threes. I really like what I've seen from Risacher so far, considering his age, considering his inexperience. The feel for the game certainly seems to be there. Obviously, he's not on the level of your typical number 1 pick, the franchise savior archetype, but for a player who was a huge mystery coming into the year, I think he's caught on pretty quickly. He certainly plays with a ton of confidence. We'll see how much his role fluctuates once Hunter and Daniels in particular are back in the lineup, but either way, I think we should see more Risacher over the next few weeks as the Hawks compensate for that loss of Bogdanovic. If you have injuries on your fantasy team or you're cycling through some bench spots, I don't mind going out, taking a spec ad on Risacher. He's available in almost 85% of ESPN leagues right now. All right, to finish out, I just want to go rapid fire through a handful of other relevant rookies, just kind of check in on what we've seen so far. Donovan Clingan out in Portland. He's playing limited minutes right now off the bench. They're still riding with DeAndre Ayton. Will continue to do so for the foreseeable future. I mean, Clingan is basically in that 10 to 13 minute range most nights. He does still have at least 1 block in every game so far. The per minute rebound numbers are really, really strong. He's someone to monitor in deeper leagues, certainly later in the season. If the Blazers were to move on from Ayton or, really turn things over to the young guys, don't think this is going to be anything close to a playoff team. There is some upside for Donovan Clingan, but right now, the minutes have been capped so low that not really rosterable or certainly not startable in most leagues. Yves Missi of the New Orleans Pelicans, not exactly a household name, but I really like this kid out of Baylor. Had multiple blocks in each of the Pels' first 4 games. It's still a team that doesn't really have a center. They're trying out the Herb Jones thing, but they haven't brought anybody in. So Missi is going to continue to be a part of this rotation going forward. He's somebody I have interest in deeper leagues. Ryan Dunn of the Phoenix Suns. Again, not really a household name, not playing enough minutes to roster in most leagues right now, but definitely somebody to keep an eye on. Kind of a Matisse Thybulle type of archetype in terms of the statistics, but a bigger bodied player. Really, really good defender at the college level. Excellent blocks and steals numbers for his size at Virginia. Really haven't seen those translate quite yet. Obviously a small sample size, but the 3-point shot looks like it's really improved. That was not really a part of his game in college. Suns are going to continue to give him big minutes. We've heard nothing but positive things about the early impressions on Ryan Dunn. A couple other big name players. Reed Sheppard, top 5 pick in the draft. Playing time has really dropped off. Not that he was playing a ton to begin the year, but Sheppard saw double-digit minutes in the Rockets' first 2 games of the season. In the next 2, he saw 9 minutes combined. So not good. Not a good trend. Still a player I'm intrigued by. I think he'll have his moments later in the year, but the Rockets, it might take an injury or two, maybe a talent consolidation type of trade for Reed Sheppard to become fantasy relevant at this point. It's tough to justify rostering him. Like, we know the upside, we know the efficiency at the college level, but you just can't really hold on to a player who's playing 3 to 5 minutes a night, basically in garbage time. Stephon Castle of the San Antonio Spurs, another top 5 pick. Castle's been a consistent part of the Spurs bench rotation. We like to see that, but he's not doing much in terms of the counting stats. Low shooting volume, missed his first 9 3-point attempts of the season. There are some assists, there is some steals potential there, but he's another guy you can drop right now. Later in the season, if the Spurs really fall back, you could see his workload tick up. But for now, he just hasn't been doing much, in the 20 to 22 minutes he's seeing most nights. A couple other names to highlight. Rob Dillingham in Minnesota. Rob Dillingham has not seen the floor through Minnesota's first 4 games. Wolves traded up for him on draft night, thought he'd have a role right away for this team. That has just not been the case at all. Honestly, he was never going to be a plus fantasy guy. That type of guard usually takes a year or two to really become fantasy relevant, kind of the score first, low efficiency archetype. But still surprising that Rob Dillingham has just apparently not been ready to contribute whatsoever for this Minnesota team. And then lastly, Matas Buzelis of the Chicago Bulls, somebody I was really intrigued by coming out of G League Ignite, looked pretty decent, showed some flashes during Summer League. Efficiency was always going to be a concern, but he's just not seeing the floor either. Just not a part of the Bulls' regular rotation. He's seeing a couple minutes per night in garbage time, but for the time being, he could be ignored unless Chicago at some point consolidates some of its talent. All right, those are my observations for the 2024 rookie class early in this fantasy season. Let us know, what rookies are you still rostering? Who are you holding out hope for? Are you just dropping all your rookies across the board? It's been a tough start, but we have nowhere to go but up. That's one way to look at it. While you're here, please make sure you're subscribed to the RotoWire Fantasy Basketball YouTube channel. You can catch all of our podcasts live on YouTube. You can find them on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts as well. And go check out rotowire.com/try. That'll get you free access to everything on the site, including the RotoWire Picks tool. If you're playing on Underdog, if you're playing on Prize Picks, if you're just doing traditional prop betting night to night, go check out rotowire.com/picks or go download the RotoWire Picks app. It'll give you a ton of help every single night playing the prop market.